In episode 8, we see 3 of the season's most interesting characters close in on Dexter closer than ever before. Angel Batista almost catches Dexter mid-kill room with a victim, only to look completely crazy when he calls the NYPD. Detective Claudette Wallace begins to dig deeper into the Bay Harbor butcher case, showing she may obsess over the case just like she did with the New York Ripper. And after Charlie airs her suspicions at the end of episode 8, Predator confirms her suspicions when he realizes Red is not the man Charlie betted him to be. Which begs the question, who will discover Dexter's secret first? In this video, we'll be exploring how and if Leon Prater, Angel Batista, and Detective Claudette Wallace will find proof that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher and what that could mean for the rest of Dexter Resurrection. Let's begin. Episode 8 shows Batista heading towards disaster. When he follows Dexter to the wig shop and finds the kill room, he thinks he finally has proof, until Dexter disappears without a trace, leaving only a scared victim who can't identify his attacker. The NYPD's reaction shows how far Batista has fallen. When Wallace calls Quinn, she learns that Batista isn't even a cop anymore. He's operating without any authority in New York, while making crazy claims about a case that Miami Metro closed years ago. When he tried to show his GPS tracking advice, the destroyed AirPods leave him with nothing but conspiracy theories. To Wallace and Olivia, Batista looks completely crazy, a retired cop making wild accusations without evidence or the right to investigate. This is exactly what happened to Dokes and LaGuerta. When Dokes went after Dexter, his co-workers at Miami Metro started questioning his sanity. His obsessive behavior and unauthorized surveillance made him look unstable to everyone around him. LaGuerta faced the same problem when she reopened the Bay Harbor Butcher case. Her fellow officers thought grief was making her chase conspiracy theories. Now, Batista is trapped in the same situation. He knows the truth about Dexter, but can't prove it, which creates a crazy cycle where the more evidence he shows, the more insane he looks to others. This episode shows Batista's fatal mistake. He's going after Dexter with his emotions instead of being professional, driven by grief over LaGuerta's death and wanting to prove her theories were right. Batista's desperation will only get worse from here. Coming so close to catching Dexter will make him abandon proper procedure and take bigger risks on his own. We've seen this pattern before. Doak started following Dexter every night, broke into his apartment, and eventually disappeared to Haiti without telling anyone. LaGuerta tampered with evidence, did unauthorized investigations, and even got Hector Estrada released to trap Dexter. Both investigators made the same deadly mistake. They stopped following the rules once they became obsessed. Dokes died in an explosion before he could tell anyone what he discovered. LaGuerta was killed by Deborah before she could expose Dexter. Batista is following the exact same path, and his death seems certain, probably killed by either Dexter or Harrison protecting his father. Knowing Dexter's secret, while everyone thinks he's crazy, will push Batista to desperate measures. He'll stop keeping official records, avoid working with other cops, and go after Dexter alone. Exactly the same mistake that got his predecessors killed. His death will help the story by removing the immediate threat while leaving behind evidence that better investigators like Wallace can use, but he won't live to see himself proven right. I'm curious to know what you guys think though. Let me know, and before we move on to the next person, I want to remind you to subscribe. Now, Wallace's investigation is a completely different kind of threat. Her call to Quinn about Batista shows that she's being professional, checking her sources and building a careful case instead of chasing emotional hunches. Unlike Batista, Wallace has no personal connection to the Bay Harbor Butcher case. She can look at evidence without bias, free from the politics that helped Dexter escape in Miami. Being an outsider lets her spot problems that people on the inside missed or ignored. Episode 8 shows Wallace's detective skills through how she handles the wig shop incident. While other detectives write off Batista as crazy, Wallace knows something important happened there. She might not believe Batista's wild theories, but she understands that elaborate kill rooms don't just appear by themselves. The NYPD will probably distance themselves from Batista once they learn that he's a retired cop doing unauthorized investigations. But Wallace's own experience with the New York Ripper case will make her more open to his theories. She knows what it's like to be haunted by an unsolved case that everyone else wants to forget. Her obsession with the Ripper almost destroyed her career, so she understands investigators who chase cases beyond normal limits. This shared experience will push Wallace to dig deeper into the Bay Harbor Butcher files that Batista mentioned. Unlike Batista, she's a better detective, more organized, less emotional, and still an active cop with proper access to databases and resources. Where Batista works from desperation and grief, Wallace will approach the case professionally. Wallace's obsessive personality, shown through her fixation on the New York Ripper case, makes her uniquely dangerous to Dexter. She won't give up on an investigation because of political pressure. Her willingness to risk her career for the truth means that she'll follow every lead carefully, comparing Miami Metro files with New York evidence, interviewing retired detectives, and checking forensic reports that others missed. More importantly, Wallace will find evidence that actually holds up. Unlike previous investigators who went rogue and looked crazy, she'll build a solid case through proper channels. She'll survive to tell her story because she works professionally instead of emotionally, making sure multiple people know her theories before taking action. Wallace's breakthrough will probably come from contacting Ryan Foster's murder to the Bay Harbor butcher pattern. The way the body was cut up, the spotless crime scene, and Harrison's suspicious behavior all point to someone with serious forensic knowledge. When she connects this with Harrison's family history and Dexter being in New York, everything will click. This sets up interesting possibilities for the Season 1 finale and future seasons of Dexter Resurrection. Wallace could put Dexter in his most dangerous situation yet, facing a competent official law enforcement response instead of lone individuals he can eliminate. Whether her investigation wraps up in the final episodes or becomes the main threat for Seasons 2 and 3, Wallace represents the kind of organized professional pursuit that Dexter has never successfully beaten. Episode 8's ending creates an immediate crisis for the Red persona. Prater's discovery of Dexter with Harrison destroys the carefully constructed identity of a lone rideshare killer with no family connections. This contradiction forces Dexter into an impossible situation: maintain the lie and risk exposure, or reveal partial truths that could lead to bigger discoveries. Prater's organization operates outside normal law enforcement channels, making them unpredictable. They have resources, connections, and a willingness to operate in legal gray areas that traditional investigators lack. Charlie's suspicions about Red being too private, too secretive, too elusive now have concrete evidence to support them. The real danger lies in what Prater might do if he discovers Dexter's true identity. Given his obsession with collecting serial killers and his shrine to famous murders, learning that Red is actually the Bay Harbor butcher could trigger several possible responses. If Prater realizes that he's been hosting one of America's most notorious serial killers, he might see it as the ultimate addition to his collection. The man who killed Trinity and operated undetected for years would represent the crown jewel of his twisted gallery. This could lead to attempted blackmail or coercion to make Dexter a permanent member of his organization. Alternatively, Prater might feel betrayed by the deception. Red was supposed to be a rideshare killer with 7 victims, not a legendary figure who's killed dozens. This level of lying violates the trust that holds his group together, potentially triggering the same response that led to Keith's elimination. The organization's most likely strategy involves threatening Harrison to force Dexter's compliance. They could demand proof of his true identity, insist on demonstrations of his killing methods, or simply hold Harrison hostage until Dexter reveals everything. This puts Dexter in an unprecedented position where violence alone won't solve his problem. Dexter's survival depends on his ability to construct believable lies under extreme pressure. He might claim that Harrison is the son of one of Red's victims, or a protege he's training in serial killing techniques. These explanations could buy time while he plans his next move, but they increase suspicion and require constant maintenance. The key factor is whether Prater's suspicions lead to concrete action or remain as unproven theories. If the organization can't definitively expose Dexter's deception, they might choose surveillance and investigation over immediate confrontation. This creates ongoing tension without forcing an immediate resolution. Episode 8 establishes that these 3 characters threatening Dexter's secret identity are no longer operating independently. Wallace's call to Quinn about Batista shows law enforcement is becoming aware of the connections between various cases. Prater's discovery of Harrison links the criminal underground to Dexter's family life. Batista's evidence, while inadmissible, provides a roadmap for others to follow. This convergence creates an unprecedented situation for Dexter. He can't simply eliminate one threat without drawing attention from the others. Killing Batista would validate Wallace's suspicions. Attacking Prater would expose him to a criminal organization with significant resources. Any violent response risks confirming the very theories he's trying to suppress. For the first time in the series, Dexter faces a scenario where his usual solutions, murder, manipulation, and misdirection, might not be sufficient. The multiple angles of investigation mean that even partial discoveries by one group could provide crucial evidence for the others. This forces Dexter into uncharted territory where survival depends on something other than violence. He might need to rely on Harrison's support, use his knowledge of other criminals as leverage, or consider previously unthinkable options like negotiation or strategic retreat. Based on the narrative patterns and character trajectories established through Episode 8, Detective Claudette Wallace represents the most dangerous long-term threat to Dexter's secret. Her professional approach, methodical investigation style, and lack of emotional investment make her uniquely positioned to succeed where others have failed. Batista's investigation will likely end in his death within the next 2 episodes, but not before he uncovers additional evidence that supports Wallace's eventual case. His illegal surveillance and tracking data will provide crucial breadcrumbs for more systematic investigators to follow. Predator's organization will discover that Red isn't who he claims to be, but their criminal nature means that they're more likely to pursue blackmail or coercion than legal exposure. They represent a different type of ongoing threat, one that Dexter might need to manage through negotiation rather than elimination. So what do I actually think will happen? To conclude, I think that Batista will discover evidence that he's been hunting for that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, at the price of his life. Dexter will buy himself some time with Predator through the elaborate line we know he's so good at, and Claudette will look deep into the BHB case after Batista's death. Let me know what you guys think, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe.